I've actually like talked about small guards a decent bit on this channel recently, and why they fail. And the main reason, we're not gonna go crazy in depth again, but just guys lacking outlier traits and the inherent difficulty of being a small guard in an ever increasing size and athleticism league. But Trey Burke, like, is a guy who I probably would have been in on as like a real guy, because he was just game breaking in a couple different ways. First being the incredible range, beyond like iconic shots like this, where he's pulling from like logo NBA range. These kind of shots were pretty regular for him, where because he isn't the biggest guy and contests can bother him, he's just able to pull up from all the way out here again. You see by this little notch, and this big man, Gorgie Jang, is like playing like at the level. Like he's high, but against a shooter like Burke, like you have to be higher. And these are where like the great shooters come in, like Curry, Lillard, all of the above, where they force you to play so high up, and then once you play so high up, they're just able to burn you. Again, we see like Jeff Withy playing, pretty close to the 3 point line because Burke is such a threat to pull, and Burke is easily able to burst past him and hang and finish. And like Burke was such an awesome space creator on these drives, such awesome burst, change of pace, some real finishing craft with like hang time and just the kind of the extensions were the main thing he used. I'm gonna go back to this last clip. Even for his jumpers, like when he wasn't shooting just deep bombs, he was always able to use his kind of herky jerkiness to create space for little mid range and 3 point pull ups. We see the hang hezzy and look at his fucking ankle. Like this is not normal ankle mobility. This looks like an injury, but Burke is able to use that to create space off the bounce and get himself a shot. So like the space creation was like really wild. Like obviously the size was a huge hindrance, but he was getting easy buckets all the time against like the best college defenders and the best college players and the best college teams, which is again an important heuristic for real success. And a guy who's really able to, again, against like Peyton Siva, who was an amazing college player, just like no chance guarding him 1-on-1. Not just the burst, but like Burke was like really strong and able to use that functional strength, where he's able to use that off arm bump Siva, who does give him a little bit of contact right here, and obviously finish, basically wide open layup over Jang. Again, so nice using this little like pacing here. Not just able to very easily beat this defender 1-on-1, but is able to use a little bump dribble here to make this defender kind of freeze, and is able to lob that pass in for an easy cut dunk. Again, the burst was just very overwhelming, and like if there was one like projectable weakness like from here, like the finishing was always kind of going to be a challenge, even though he was like a good finisher. Like these are pretty solid numbers for a guy of his size and his usage, but Burke, like just without being like super vertically gifted, or like incredibly crafty, like really reliant on his touch and like his body control, there was always going to be huge hurdles for him. And even when he was like easily able to dust other defenders with his burst, there just was a lot of that stuff where Burke just was never able to seemingly overcome that lack of size as a primary scorer type. And again, I really like this angle as a good way to introduce Burke's passing, because he was a really like crafty pick and roll passer. There wasn't anything crazy advanced. Like we saw the play earlier, he's able to use his advantage creation to capitalize on mistakes by the defense and capitalize on a rotating defense to make easy passes. But this is a really nice kind of angle to see Burke use jail, hold this defender, and make a little laydown. He was so good at using jail to kind of pause, survey the floor, and most importantly, force the dropping big man to make a decision. And once Jeff Withy decides to stay, easy dump down, and that's a dunk. This is just what kind of Burke did all the time. The pacing, picking his spots. He knows that if Burke continues downhill right here, he's ahead of his roll man, so he would kind of get there first, and the passing angle will be tougher. So Burke resets until Mitch McGary gets into the paint. He draws two defenders because that advantage creation just constantly necessitates help, and he's able to easily lay it down using a pretty nice angle as well. This is just a pass that I thought was like really awesome. Even when Burke like wasn't able to create space here, This might not be the best process, but he whips this jump pass to Nick Stauskas, who was a very cool player in his own right. And again, just the ability to be in midair, and even though Burke isn't creating a ton of separation on this play, like this defender sticks with him nicely, he's still able to get 2 feet in the paint and draw 4 Kansas defenders into the paint. And at that point, he can pretty easily pick his spot and whips it out to Stauskas. And again, like Burke had like really impressive shooting numbers. Like I'm not gonna like go through the queries because we do that all the time. Great volume, great free throw, great long two, just like a good finisher for his size. But it's so hard to make it as a small guard, especially one that just wasn't that good of a defender. Like Burke had decent steal numbers, but he was constantly getting beat off the dribble. He was like kind of aloof, just very very small. And when you aren't able to reach that primary creator level as a guy of Burke's size, it can be really hard to stick in the league. But like I think that possibility was probably there, and Burke can and always will be able to score. Like we saw him in his like stint with Dallas a little bit ago, and that he still got some juice. But yeah, he's one of my favorite prospects that I've watched, and he was really really good.